grew up in a very small little village in New York State from the time I was 10, where that little community had a general store and it had a little Methodist church. And the Methodist church was our social life other than school activities. Hi, I'm Joyce Hyatt, and I live in Fayetteville, Pennsylvania. I'd like you to meet my husband, Richard.
I'm Richard. Travel a lot. We go through the woods, we like to go through the mountains, and so we like to go to New England. We love New England. The little towns of Vermont are our favorites. Route 100, going up Route 100 from the southern all the way to the northern part is something we like to do. So we try to do that.
That's probably our biggest hobby other than gardening for retirement is traveling. Small towns, back roads, mountains, hills, streams.
Wherever the roads go away and become dirt.
We've been living here for, it will be 13 years, the end of July, and we moved here from Poughkeepsie, New York. This was to be our retirement home, but now that I've turned 80, it's time to start looking for that next place on the life's journey.
Somewhere over the rainbow, bluebirds fly.
I was having medical problems at the time that they were looking at the house, and when I didn't respond to the medicine then, and the doctor said, Joyce, we are not going to do hemorrhoid surgery at this time because it would be too severe with you moving in 3 weeks. So it was Dr. Colton at the Hershey Medical Center that I was able to get an appointment with, and Dr. Colton called me on a Sunday afternoon after he did some testing and did a biopsy. He said, Joyce, I have good news and bad news. You don't have to have surgery, but you have to have chemo and radiation. So that fall, we moved here the end of July, so this was September time frame that they started chemo and radiation, and I was in the hospital for chemo 24 hours a day for 5 days, and they were also giving me radiation.
I will say on record that anybody has to have radiation of the severity that Joyce or I had. It's just brutal. That's the only word for it. It's brutal. You don't want to put a human being through that. But it saves your life too. So I mean, there's the balance.
Richard's been my right-hand arm because I wasn't able to drive. I mean, I was so sick there with the first chemo and radiation. Of course, I was in the hospital for the chemo, but then afterwards you still get the after effects of it. And he would drive me every day to radiation. And do you need to stop? Do you need to stop? No, I'm okay, you know. And he's right there, and he's so good because I have fainted on him a few times with this low blood pressure problem. He's been great. I mean, we have a great relationship. One takes care of the other. So sometime in November when I finish the radiation, and I've done just fine. No serious problems since. And then in 2007, I was diagnosed in March with left breast cancer. So I did a lot of thinking, a lot of praying, and I kept telling God that I had a lot of work to do, but if He was ready for me, I was ready. If I couldn't make it through the cancer with treatment, I was accepting it fine. And I had excellent doctors, excellent care, excellent everything. And I really came through it with flying colors, I feel. January of 2013, I woke up in the middle of the night. I had been having some strange headaches, and I never, hardly ever my whole life, have had a problem with headaches. And they were just minor headaches. But then my jaw started hurting, and my ear was hurting a little bit, and I was getting strange sensations from the ear on the right side to the temple. And one night, in the middle of the night, I woke up. I had turned my head on my pillow, and it felt like a needle was being stuck in my head, and I felt these little bumps right up at the hairline. The very next day, I called Dr. Harvey, my oncologist, who's just a wonderful doctor. So Dr. Harvey did the normal cancer blood screening work, and everything came back fine. He called me back into the office, and he said, "Joyce, we have to go to work on trying to save your vision." Well, this was quite a shock. We have this house, and I love to garden, and there's a lot of gardening work to do, and I thought, how am I going to take care of this house and do all this garden work if I'm blind? Dr. Harvey is credited with saving my eyesight. So you can see how grateful I am for her, she did.
If you want to, people think, in our day, used to think of doctors as, think person on a hill, right? Dr. Harvey's about as human as they come. It's absolutely unbelievable and caring.
Yeah, he's really something. I don't consider myself ill. I feel like I've really been blessed. Hopefully this giant cell won't do bad things. We have learned through the help of Johns Hopkins and CT scans and so forth that it is in the large vessel as well. It's not just in the temporal arteritis. There's apparently indications in the subclavian glands, the aorta.
The arteries, subclavian arteries, and the aorta.
And into the stomach, which means you can have an aneurysm at any point in time, but anything can happen to anybody at any time. I don't worry about it. I go on living, trying to live each day to the fullest.
Joyce is the perfect example of a resilient patient. She is really able to handle pretty much any situation that I've seen, and I haven't even seen her limits tested yet. The other thing about Joyce that is so beautiful is that she's the perfect example of patient as teacher. We can really learn from her. I'm learning from her. I find her inspirational. I find it a joy to work with her. And I find that when I'm working with her, I'm learning ways of sharing with patients, other patients, to help them achieve the positive outlook and joyful life experience that Joyce shares with me every time she's in the office.
I didn't really have a lot of anger. I have a very strong faith. In my faith, I feel that God has a plan for my life, and my life is in His hands with the help of good judgment and fine doctors. And like Richard, I'm not a real emotional person, but you think what was probably hardest for me was thinking that I wouldn't be able to see my granddaughters grow up if I'd like to be a part of their life. That's probably the thing that bothered me most, if I didn't have a successful outcome.
Number one, Joyce has been through so much that nothing stops her. So she doesn't dwell on anything except going, living every day, having a good time. Get up. She's got things to do. I mean, that's the key. And I would say for people of this age, regardless of health, getting up and having something to do is what keeps you alive. She exemplifies it. Every day she's got a list. I could never keep up with her if I had to.
And of course, we love to walk, and this is a wonderful place to walk.
That's great.
I have that beautiful piano over there that I bought for myself when I retired. And I just don't have time to play it.
Just thinking that your
I have to
thoughts
make
are
myself.
different than mine. In my review, I watch you and I gave you your life, but you give me mine. I see you slowly swim away as the light is.
I was always very thankful though, and I've been through tough struggles a lot in my life, and I don't feel it's changed me that much. The things that are important, you know, family, friends, and having your health is just number one. But we have so many blessings to count. We're very fortunate. Some people have not been as fortunate as we've been for what we've been through in our lives, but I think the main thing is be thankful and count every blessing and every new day. Live it to the fullest.
So when I first met Joyce, she had a little card, and she sells a little card. It's out on the
Kitchen
kitchen counter, and it says, "This is the day the Lord has made. I will rejoice and rejoice and be glad in it." And that's how she lived her life before I came, and that's the way she's lived her life. And that's what she brought to me. Is that, you know, I loved her for that.
And what really pulled us together, Jen, we both were raised by the golden rule. Treat others the way you want to be treated. And if everybody would do that, what a beautiful world we'd have.
It's a lonely little chain. If you don't have to it, so go on. Just go on. There's still so many things I wanna say to you, but go